Curiosity has always been humanity's quiet engine. It is the force that pushed us to map the sky, cross oceans, and ask questions no one needed answered. At first, curiosity feels safe. It promises clarity, control, and understanding. We believe that looking closer will always make the world feel smaller and more manageable. But there's a threshold few people talk about. Somewhere between understanding and obsession, curiosity changes character. The questions stop adding comfort and begin removing it. Each answer exposes a deeper uncertainty, and what once felt solid begins to loosen. The world no longer behaves the way intuition promised. At deeper levels, reality reacts to attention. Observation stops being passive and becomes an intrusion. Looking is no longer neutral. The act of examining something subtly alters. What is being examined, patterns dissolve into probabilities. Cause and effect lose their sharp edges. At first, this feels distant, almost theoretical. Then it becomes personal. Time feels less stable. Objects feel less solid. Certainty retreats. A quiet fear replaces confidence, not because reality is hostile, but because it ignores human expectations. Once crossed, this boundary cannot be undone, and curiosity keeps pulling forward, even when comfort has already disappeared forever. Every day, we move through life assuming the world is stable and predictable. We trust that objects are solid, that time flows steadily, and that every action has a clear reaction. This intuition shapes everything we do, giving us a comforting sense of control. We plan, we build, we survive, because we believe the rules are fixed and unchanging. But this sense of stability is a carefully constructed illusion. The solidity of objects dissolves at atomic scales. Time, which feels continuous, behaves unpredictably under certain physical laws, cause and effect, which govern our daily choices. Blur when examined deeply. This model is excellent for survival. It keeps us grounded in practical reality, but it fails when we try to peer into the true nature of existence. The universe does not conform to our assumptions. The comfort of everyday life masks a reality far stranger, more fragile, and far less certain than we ever imagined. At the dawn of modern physics, scientists believed the universe was predictable. Newton's laws painted a world of certainty. Planets traced perfect paths. Objects behaved reliably, and cause and effect ruled every interaction. It was a universe that felt secure, understandable, and complete. Then came a series of discoveries that shattered this confidence. Experiments showed that at the quantum level, particles did not behave like tiny billiard balls. Observation itself began to influence outcomes. Electrons seemed to exist in multiple states until measured. Light acted as both particle and wave. Reality no longer remained independent of the observer. This was not a mere technical glitch in equations or instruments. It was a philosophical earthquake. The very assumptions that underpin knowledge, reason, and even common sense were questioned. For the first time, humanity glimpsed a universe that refused to adhere to intuition, where certainty was provisional, and the deeper you looked, the less you could trust what you thought you knew. Looking, it turns out, is never passive. At the deepest levels of reality, the act of observation changes what is being observed. Particles behave differently when measured. Waves collapse into discrete outcomes. The universe, it seems, responds to attention itself. This is the observer problem, a subtle but profound rift between expectation and truth. Physicists rarely speak of its full implications. To acknowledge them is to confront unsettling possibilities that reality may not exist independently of perception, that what we see is shaped by what we do, and that the universe may be less objective than we assume. The tension is psychological as much as scientific. We are trained to trust observation, to rely on evidence. Yet evidence itself becomes uncertain under scrutiny. Confronting this challenges not just our knowledge, but our sense of place within reality. It is a quiet discomfort that lingers long after the equations are forgotten. We often assume that looking deeper into reality will reveal simpler, more elegant patterns. Classical intuition promises order. The smaller the piece, the clearer the rule. But nature refuses to comply. At fundamental levels, complexity does not dissolve into simplicity. Instead, structure gives way to probability. Particles flicker between possibilities. Waves interfere with themselves. Certainty, so reliable in our everyday world, becomes fleeting. Cause and effect, the backbone of experience, loses its sharpness. Actions no longer lead predictably to outcomes. Instead, the universe hints at possibilities, probabilities, and blurred connections. This is deeply unsettling because it contradicts everything our minds are trained to expect. The deeper we peer, the more reality resists comprehension. Order becomes suggestion, structure becomes patternless, and the comfortable rules that once guided thought dissolve. At these scales, understanding is not clarity, it is confrontation with uncertainty, a place where the familiar dissolves into something that can neither be ignored nor fully grasped. Time, the river we believe carries us steadily from past to future, may not exist as we perceive it. At fundamental levels, physics suggests that the flow we experience is an illusion, a construct of perception, rather than an intrinsic property of reality. Past, present, and future could coexist, layered and simultaneous, defying our intuition. This challenges the very foundation of human experience. Free will, which relies on sequential choice, becomes uncertain. Decisions may feel independent, but if time is not linear, the distinction between cause and effect blurs. Identity, built around a narrative of past actions, shaping present and future, begins to unravel. The mind struggles to reconcile these ideas. Every moment we perceive as progression may be a fragment of a static, timeless structure. The unsettling truth is that our sense of continuity is fragile. Time does not flow. We flow through an orderless expanse, and nothing guarantees we are truly in control. Even the most brilliant minds encounter a boundary where explanation falters language. No matter how precise, struggles to capture phenomena that defy intuition. Equations, elegant though they may be, describe patterns without revealing their essence. At this edge, words become shadows, and symbols become approximations of something that cannot be fully articulated. Great physicists hesitate because they sense this limitation. They can predict outcomes, manipulate variables, and model behaviors, yet they cannot translate the raw experience of reality at its deepest level. There is a gulf between describing and understanding. One can map the territory, but stepping fully into its meaning proves elusive. This is where authority collapses. Certainty gives way to humility. Even experts must acknowledge that their tools, however powerful, are insufficient to grasp the full scope of the universe. Beyond this boundary, comprehension yields to awe, leaving only the uneasy recognition of how little can be truly known. Knowledge is never neutral. Every insight gained leaves a mark on the mind, subtly reshaping perception and understanding. The deeper one peers into reality, the more profound the change. What once seemed ordinary begins to feel fragile, and the assumptions that guided thought lose their authority. Understanding at fundamental levels is not merely intellectual, it is experiential. Observing the strange behaviors of particles, the fluidity of time, or the instability of cause and effect alters the way one perceives the world. The observer becomes entwined with the observed, no longer separate from the phenomena they study. This transformation comes at a cost. Comfort, certainty, and the sense of stability erode. Simple pleasures and everyday assumptions may feel hollow, replaced by an awareness that the universe is stranger and more unpredictable than previously imagined. Once this boundary is crossed, the observer cannot return unchanged. Curiosity is relentless. Even when faced with unsettling truths, humans feel an irresistible pull to keep asking, to keep probing. The mind resists ignorance, and the desire to understand often outweighs the fear of what discovery might bring. This tension between fear and wonder is at the heart of human experience. We are simultaneously terrified and fascinated, drawn to mysteries we sense may destabilize our perception, yet unable to turn away. Each revelation deepens the awe while amplifying unease, creating a feedback loop that pulls us further into the unknown. Paradoxically, not looking can feel worse than confronting the uncomfortable. Avoidance leaves questions unresolved, curiosity unfulfilled, and the mind restless. Facing reality, even its most disturbing aspects, provides a strange sense of engagement, a connection to the vastness of existence. Humans cannot stop because the act of looking affirms both their agency and their unquenchable desire to know. What if reality does not exist independently of observation? What if the solidity we trust, the sequence of events we take for granted, and the meaning we assign to life are not intrinsic but emergent illusions? These are not mere philosophical musings. They are unsettling possibilities suggested by the deepest layers of physics. If causality, time, and existence themselves are conditional, then the universe we inhabit is far less stable than it appears. The framework we rely on to make sense of our lives may be a fragile projection shaped by perception rather than by an objective order. This idea offers no comfort, no resolution. It cannot be fully proved nor entirely dismissed. Instead, it lingers, a quiet unease that sits at the edge of thought, whispering that the world is stranger, more mutable, and far more mysterious than we are willing to admit.